If you're a plumbing, heating, or cooling contractor who's working nonstop, but there's never enough money left at the end of the month, this episode is for you. You're doing jobs, you're making payroll, barely, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you're wondering why the business still isn't making money, even though you are thoroughly exhausted. Today, we're breaking down the first three numbers you must look at if you aren't making money. Because if these are off, nothing else matters. And to help me do that, I'm joined by Kimberly Keane. Kimberly and I spent 25 years owning and operating what became a $12 million plumbing and heating company with double-digit profit, which we successfully sold. Now she helps contractors get financially sound without becoming accountants.
Not making enough money, can't pay yourself what you want to pay yourself, no money left over, always behind on supply bills. Those are all clues you're not making enough money.
If that sounds like you, pay attention because this isn't about more jobs.
The first one, cost of goods sold labor. The second one, cost of goods sold material. And the third one is gross margin.
These three numbers tell you whether your business is actually healthy or quietly bleeding.
If you don't have 60% of every dollar that someone pays you left over, you're just going to have trouble.
In this conversation, you'll learn the exact percentages those three numbers should be, why more volume can actually put you out of business faster, and how to fix the problem before it destroys your company. And if you want help implementing this, Kimberly also shares how you can book a free coaching call and get real support instead of just guessing. If you're tired of working for free and want to finally build the business you dreamed of, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. All right, Kimberly Keane, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So what are you up to these days?
Well, I have a 90-day program that I do called Pipes to Profits. And then usually once I take people through that, they can either transition into group coaching, one-to-one coaching that I do. And so that's what I'm up to, just teaching business owners how to make money in their business.
Awesome. Well, that's why you're here, because of course we're trying to help contractors stop working for free, right? And finally turn a
Definitely.
profit.
Yeah.
And so you've got three numbers that plumbing contractors should know.
Yes. Well, we only have time to go through the first three. There are 11 that are really important, but the first three, this is the first three that I look at when I'm looking at a client's business.
Awesome. So let's jump in. What are the three numbers? And this is if a contractor is not making money, there's not enough money left at the end of the month.
Yeah, and that can look like a lot of things. Not making enough money, can't pay yourself what you want to pay yourself, no money left over, always behind on supply bills. Those are all clues you're not making enough money.
Let's see, not paying yourself till later in the week after payroll.
Skipping payrolls.
Balancing
for yourself.
Balancing supply bills.
Yeah, robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, let's jump into this. So what are the first three numbers we should look at?
Yeah. First one is cost of goods sold labor. The second one, cost of goods sold material. And the third one is gross margin. So just a little, heads up. And then we need to talk about what each one should look like in a healthy plumbing company or heating company.
Okay. If there's contractors out there like myself, that just sounds like a bunch of wah, 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 wah a little bit there.
Definitely.
So this is on the profit and loss statement.
Yes, it's on the profit and loss statement. And I firmly believe you do not need to be an accountant. You don't need to be a CFO. You don't have to have a degree to understand your numbers. There are only a few numbers on your profit and loss statement that you really need to understand. The biggest thing is to understand the business that produces those numbers. And that's what I go into, because the number is just a scorecard or a result at the end of the month. It's just sort of your evaluation of how did you run your business. And of course, what you want to be is the expert in your business. So I just teach you how to evaluate it objectively.
Awesome. Okay. So please teach us a little something.
Okay, got it. The first one, cost of goods sold labor. This is the first one that I look at when I'm evaluating a client. It's the first one I would look at every month when I ran my own business. And this includes your technician labor, your apprentice labor, any sales commissions that you would pay, whatever the labor or bonuses that you're paying in your business for the field. Like, this is the work to get the job done. that is cost of goods sold labor. And so that, if you're looking at a healthy company, you want that to be 20% of revenue. So that's my very first thing to evaluate when I'm looking at a company. Is this healthy or not so much?
Okay, now just to be clear, that does that include the dispatcher?
Nope. Dispatcher is overhead. So it's just the labor that would be on a job site, putting in, materials or equipment. It would be the labor selling the materials and equipment if you had a salesperson. But it's primarily a technician and then helpers. And that's what you're looking at. And if you're an owner and you're in that spot, you're still installing in the field, it would be you as well.
Right, because as this company's just starting out, they're going to pay themselves as a tech.
Yeah.
And then ideally, if there's extra, then they'll maybe get something extra later if there's profitable, right?
Yeah. But first, for a lot of people just starting out, if you're still in a truck, you're still filling that role of paid technician. So to be fair, if you're really going to evaluate it, it should include you.
Okay. And then is apprentice in that, or is it an overhead?
Nope. Apprentice would be there as well, because an apprentice is on the job site. He's helping get the work done. That is field labor. Everyone who's going to put on a uniform, wear work boots, have tools, show up to a job site, be in front of the customer, that's who you're going to count in that cost of goods sold labor. And that should be at the top of your profit and loss when you print it out and look at it, or if you look at it on the screen.
Okay. So 20%.
Yep. That's what a healthy company looks like. Max 25%. Any higher than that, it's going to be really, really hard to see that profit that you want at the end of the month, continue to pay yourself, have any money left over for overhead type expenses. So that's what a healthy company should be spending.
Okay. So what do we do if it's like 35%? Like what do we do?
Yeah. So I had a story. We had a technician that was amazing at sales. And we thought he was amazing at sales. And so we would go and do a bid job. Lots of jobs were bid. His particular speciality was sewers, loved sewers, high dollars in sewers, lots of money, it looks like, in sewers. So we were excited, man. He would go sell this job. We'd get a good down payment. It would help us pay the bills, maybe make payroll that week, maybe pay our supply bill. I don't know, like whatever the thing was in that week that we needed. And so, but then I started looking at this number for these jobs, this cost of goods sold labor, because we were doing so many things right. We were charging, up front. This was a bid job, but we paid by the billed hour. And so the billed hour, we didn't have a way to reduce it. Like what we found out is he was discounting these jobs to get them. Like he was like, well, it should be this price, but I'm going to discount it here because I'm competing against other contractors, or the customer will go for it if I just give $1,000 off, or whatever the thing was. And so we're like, well, hey, let's do the work. We need the cash flow. But what I found out is that's exactly what was happening. The cost of goods sold labor was 35-40% of the job. So I would still pay him, for all the labor that was involved in the job, but I didn't have anything left over. So what I did kind of leads into the second metric that you need to look at, the second number to look at, which is cost of goods sold material. What I did to solve that problem was I created a bid sheet that everyone in the company had to use. You could not bid a job without using this. It said, here's how much you have to charge for a day of labor. Here's how much you have to charge for half a day of labor. If you want an apprentice on the job, here's how much you have to charge for the apprentice. Here's the material, and here's exactly how I want you to mark it up, right? And if you're going to use any subs, here's exactly how you have to mark it up. I put the equations in. It had to be turned in with every bid, and then we would use our software to go back and actually compare how'd the job do. And it solved that problem. But basically, I found out, part of the problem was me. I didn't have a system to completely designate how did I want these jobs to be charged, because how is my technician going to know that? How's my technician actually going to know what it costs me to put a labor hour in the field. They don't have a clue. They are in an environment where they're just doing their best. They're trying to be competitive. They're trying to win work. So like that was my job, and I was not doing it. I was falling down on the job actually. So creating that system helped me solve both my cost of goods sold labor problem and my cost of goods sold material, because I made sure that they knew exactly how to mark up the two most important things that would happen out in the field every day on those bid jobs in those competitive environments. So it was really a mindset shift to where I wasn't trying to win jobs based on the price. I was trying to only do work for customers who would pay what it cost me plus some profit to do the work.
Right. I remember that so clearly because when you're living payroll to payroll, like actually most companies, not just contractors,
Yeah.
most companies payroll to payroll, and we just don't talk about it because everybody thinks you have to put a smile on your face. If your employees knew how fragile you were, they might not stay around, right? So we're all
Yeah.
putting on
Well,
we're
and
all putting stuff on.
yeah, but I mean, even if you are a couple $100,000 a month in revenue, or 500 or $1 million of revenue in a month, and your profit is 20%, but your labor is 20%, like even your entire profit for a month, it is payroll to payroll. You can't afford to mess it up very long, and you won't have the money. I mean, that is the lay of the land, right? Like it takes time to make money. So payroll's a significant expense. So yeah, payroll to payroll. It's a real thing.
Yes. So yeah, he would sell this big job, and so we'd be all excited because it actually kept the doors open another week. And then there'd be all this commotion, and there'd be 2 or 3 people out there working and backhoes and all this stuff. And so it was hard to see because the down payment had a significant impact on
cash flow.
cash flow, and even the final payment did. Like, get that job done so we can get a final payment.
Yep.
But like you said, we weren't profitable at all. And what actually was happening was it tied up all these people on an unprofitable job.
Yeah.
So I remember we wouldn't, there was jobs that we were missing after you put that in place. At first it was frustrating. Like, well, what if we don't get the job? But what it did is it freed us up to take other calls that would pay us what we needed.
Yeah. So
Remember
really I do. And really we went after a different client base ultimately. Like we were willing to say goodbye to clients that could not or would not pay what it cost, and only say yes to clients who would, because there are people that want, there are clients out there that want a certain level of service. They want a good job, and they're willing to pay. They think that's a fair price. What it costs you to do plus some fair profit, that is a fair price. So that's what we did. So yeah, that's like my two top: cost of goods sold labor, cost of goods sold material. But sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Cost of goods sold material. What should that be at? What's that number?
It depends on your business, but in the plumbing industry, 10% was our goal. We would go anywhere between 10 and 15% for all of our material. And in HVAC, that can look a little different because they have a much higher equipment cost. So, but then like on that, so you want to separate out material and equipment, because only equipment should be high, maybe 20-25% on equipment, but still material should be 10 to 15% max.
Is that like drain cleaning companies as well, or is it even lower?
Oh, drain cleaning only if you don't do any plumbing, that's even lower. 5% would be a good, that's what a healthy drain cleaning company would look like, is 5% on materials. And so 5% drain cleaning, 10% ideally for plumbing service, plumbing rough-in, which is repipes, remodels, that kind of thing. And then for HVAC equipment, it can be as high as 20-25%.
Okay. And then what's the third number?
The third number is your gross margin. So this is this basically is a measurement of how well you hit the first two numbers, really, but it's also a really important number. This is on your profit and loss. And really simply is you take your revenue, and QuickBooks will do this for you. Your accounting software will do this work for you. But you take your revenue, you subtract your cost of doing business, which is labor, materials, permits, subcontractors, disposal fees, just that kind of thing. And then you're left over with what your gross profit is. And so you always want to look at these things as a percentage, because the number is not very, you can't compare a number month to month or company to company, but when you look at it as a percentage, so you take that gross profit number, divide by your revenue, and that is your gross margin. And you want that number to be 60%.
Okay.
Yeah. So the easiest way to do this, I know it's like, I feel like I'm just talking, and I said it's not complicated, and I promise it's not. If you, in your accounting, I know in your accounting system, you just run your profit and loss. There's a place where you say, I want to look at all of these numbers as a percentage of income. And then your software just does it for you. You don't have to do this on your own. And then you just start looking. It's on the very right-hand side, and materials, you're looking for 10. Labor, you're looking for 20. Gross profit, you're looking for 60. And there you are. It's the three most important numbers that you're going to see to start with. The first three that I start with on the P&L.
Okay. And so most likely when we talk to clients, it's going to be on the low end, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's typically what I see. I typically see under 55%. 55% is starting to get there, but usually that's just evidence of a problem, in one of the two categories, labor or materials. And really, because what gross margin is measuring is it's measuring how efficiently, how effectively are you getting the work done and keeping enough money to run the rest of your business, which is all the customer service things like your CSR, your dispatcher, being able to take care of your trucks and pay for insurance and pay for benefits for your people, right? Like if you don't have 60% of every dollar that someone pays you left over, you're just going to have trouble providing all of that and being a really competitive company in the environment that we live in today.
Right. Okay. So we need enough gross margin to then make the company run smooth and make everybody happy inside the business.
Yes.
After we please the customer, now we need 60% to make the inside of the company feel good.
Well, I mean, it's funny. It's to go beyond these first three numbers. It's so simple. It's 40% to get the work done, 40% for the overhead in the office and like the trucks, the insurance, all of that, and 20% left over for gross profit, which just keeps the company healthy. It doesn't mean that you won't reinvest that back into the company for growth or buying new equipment and materials, capital investments, that kind of thing. But it sure makes you viable for the long term so that you can be around and not exhausted and scared.
Yeah, 20%, it may sound big, but if you're doing things right, then your company demands that you spend that money on the business by buying a truck and another sewer camera and reinvesting constantly.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately, all of these things are not one-time purchases. They're with us forever. They break. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So then there's a fourth number. I bet it's selling price.
Well, that is the fourth number that I would look at. And so if your cost of goods sold labor is low, if it's is high, if it's above 20%, like my first question is going to be what's the selling price? Because it could be that your selling price isn't high enough, and that's why. It could be that you're just like your guys aren't selling enough, and so that you don't have the right selling price just because you're not selling enough hours in the day. And then same with cost of goods sold material. If you're not marking up equipment correctly, that can affect your selling price. So that's what I'm going to look at, because your selling price has to be based on what it costs you to do business plus profit, and not just what the going rate is. It's really not very relevant to you.
Right. So yeah, I remember when we raised our price because we wanted to be competitive for technicians, right?
Yeah. That was a really big lesson. I would look around in our market, right? And I'm thinking, why am I having trouble recruiting people that I want to hire. Like all of my technicians, they're kind of dirty. I can't necessarily rely on them to show up on Monday morning like everyone's got the brown bottle flu on Monday morning. I can't institute any system because like I just can't, like my whole crew doesn't comply with it. I'm bidding jobs, but I don't know for sure if they're going to follow the contract or not. It was just like I felt like I had to accept such a low standard of doing business. And then I started to look around at the kind of quality technicians my competitors had. And I realized, well, not only are they charging more, but they can pay more. So why would this top quality person who will show up 5 to 7 days a week, do exactly what I asked them to do, use a script, wear a uniform, keep their truck clean, take good care of my truck, have a great driving record. Why won't he come to work for me? Well, because I can't pay him enough. So you start to think about it. If you're charging $150 an hour and you can afford to pay 20% to labor, that's about $30 an hour or $60,000 a year. That's not really going to get a competitive plumber in my area anyway. That's maybe what you would pay a good apprentice, but you're not going to. And even at $200 an hour, that's an $80,000 technician at 20% full time. Well, that's just not competitive. Like, no wonder I was getting the bottom of the barrel because that's what I was paying. So like, it's just a matter of like, your selling price is so important. Part of it is, do you want to be able to attract the top talent in your market so that you can build the company you want to be proud of owning? That was the question I had to ask myself.
Right. And so, yeah, I remember when we decided we didn't want to be cheap.
Yeah.
Like there's a way to be cheap, but then there's a lot of consequences with cheap.
Yeah.
Not only in the personnel, and the guys you work with, but then the quality of work and then the customer complaints.
Yeah.
And the inconsistency out in the field. And so when you decide that you want to put a quality product on the road, then all of a sudden, well, actually, what does it take to get a quality technician starts to be how you start to figure out what your price should be, right?
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, you need to be able to pay them well. To attract a high quality technician, you need to be able to offer competitive benefits. But these are the people that will be reliable, that will help you build a business, that won't generate complaints, that will keep your reputation at that 4.8, 4.9 star reviews that you need in order to build your reputation in your marketplace. So, the people who are going to accept low, no to low benefits or a low wage, they're not the people that can help you build that company. So like that's like a fair thing if that's the business you want to build. It was just not a business that I enjoyed running. So I realized I have to build a different business. I didn't like owning that one.
Right. Luckily,
Yeah.
we're on the same page.
I know. That was really great. I was grateful. Yeah. And I think there's one point about gross margin, if we could just go back to it, because I feel like I missed it. So one huge mindset shift about gross margin was, you always think as an owner that you just need more volume. And if you just had more volume, if you just had a couple more jobs, like you need a little bit more cash flow, you need a couple more jobs in the month, and then you'll make money and you can pay those bills predictably. It would only take 1 or 2 more jobs. The thing is that if you don't have that 60% gross margin that a healthy company has, once you start investing into getting more jobs or marketing or trying to do more work, you actually just go out of business faster because you don't have enough to pay the technician. You aren't charging enough in material, and then you won't have enough to sustain the growth. And so you're going to see your customer service decline because you don't have enough overhead money to designate to service. So you won't be able to serve your customers well. You'll start increasing complaints, which will destroy your reputation. It's just this vicious cycle, and more jobs won't fix it. Like getting your financials to a healthy place is the only solution to those kinds of problems.
Yeah, I remember, and we talk about that with authority, but I remember when we learned that for ourselves, right? Remember Bill Palmer we hired Bill Palmer to come in, And of course, we wanted more work.
Yes. And we kept
and
like, when can we focus on how are we going to get more work?
yeah, are you going to introduce us to your marketing person? You said you knew a good marketing person. I mean, he's like, well, let's get the business profitable where you're at first. And that seemed like so counterintuitive. Like, look, I just need more calls and everything will be okay. But we
Yeah.
trusted him because he was richer than us, frankly, right? He'd already been up the road and already built a business and sold it.
Well, and we were already clear that we weren't doing it right. So
Right, we were
like, might want to try something new. We were
looking for workers, right? Like, we're like, well, how do we do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, he had us, and some of the things he had us do were kind of embarrassing. I remember we had to hose off the red carpets, instead of having the service do it for a little while. But it was, to me, I remember it was like 1,000. I remember we weren't really way off on a lot of things, but we were like 1% off on 20 things.
Yeah, which is huge. Yes.
20%.
Yes.
And so we went to work on that stuff and just diligently worked on getting those numbers. Obviously, there's a lot more than 4 numbers, right? We got all those little percentages dialed in. And I remember the day he says, I think it's time to introduce you to my marketing lady.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it can be a hard pill to swallow that you need to learn how to make money at every, just where you're at, right? Like every job you do, you just have to learn how to make money doing the jobs that you have, the work that you have. So that is really hard. But once you figure that out, then you have a business that is absolutely scalable. It's ripe for scaling because you know that when you inject more fuel into the engine or whatever, when you push on the gas and you go, you won't destroy yourself because you will just continue to make money on every job you do. Your system just produces money.
Right. And the part I loved about all that was, so the prices are going up. It's like, well, how do you sell that to the customer? That's what I loved. It's like, it's not just falling off a log. Like, a lot of people struggle with sales, and there's a whole art form to professionally present pricing in a way that a customer feels like they have a choice and they choose something according to what they can afford, and everything works.
Yeah. Well, and the whole work of, building your business to understand that you're worth it, right? Business, like the person that's used to charging $200 an hour might need to do a couple things differently to feel like, okay, I should charge closer to $500 an hour, right? That you might want to, it's just, what do you do differently to be worth what you're charging? And they're not complicated things, but it is important. It's an important mind shift for you as the owner.
Yeah, for sure. Well, very good. This has been super helpful. I think there's 4 things for someone to look at if they're not doing well.
Definitely. That's the first 4. Yes.
Cool. So how does someone get a hold of you if they want some help besides themselves trying to figure this out on their own?
Oh,
Which
sure.
I highly suggest, because we didn't do this on our own either.
No. We've had amazing mentors that helped us get where we are. But we would never have figured some of these things out on our own. But man, it sure made it so much easier when we had help. Like I feel like we owe everything to the people that helped us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
my website, KimberlyKeane.com. You can go there to book a free coaching call. I'm also on Instagram as Margin Creator. So yeah, that's how you can get in touch with me. I have a class that I teach twice a year that I show you how to implement this stuff and more to create a vibrant and growing business, and then how you just compare yourself to a healthy company and get closer and closer every month. That's what I love to do.
Awesome. Well, the trades are the place to be, and with your help, people can actually realize that that's true.
Yeah, for sure. Every bit of sustainable change that we effected in our company, we could only do because we could afford to sustain it. So you need money to sustain change in your business.
Right. Remember that Bill also, shout out to Bill Palmer.
Yeah.
He was such
and Ellen Rohr. Ellen Rohr was part of, I mean, just these 2 people were so instrumental at the same time, helping us figure this out. It wasn't even just one person. We had 2 people that just, wow, opened our eyes.
Yeah. Amazing. Remember Big Job, Little Job?
Yep. Big job, little job. Yeah. Wow. That's how we uncovered that we knew the discounting was killing us. Yeah. Because we separated out big jobs from little jobs. Yeah,
Yeah. That's a whole other episode right there.
I know.
But
There's
I
so
remember
much.
what Bill said, on the other side of profit is fun. Remember that?
Mm.
Yes, I do.
So, and that's
That
true.
was
And fun
true.
doesn't mean lollipops and roller coasters. It means you can actually start building the business that you once imagined, right? We all started it with these high hopes, right? And these ideals that we're going to be the best company around. And then 2 years later, we're wondering how to get from payroll to payroll, right? And so
hmm
once you figure this stuff out, it becomes fun again.
Yes, you're reminding me of some of the most fun that we ever had. We had a room called our war room. And part of what was so fun was growing to a size with profit that was sustained so that we could have these managers help build this company with us. And so we had objectives. We would go into our war room. We had regular, that's what we called it. And so it sounds like, whatever, serious, but it was actually some of the best times we ever had in our company was in that war room, just strategizing and implementing and coming back to see how did we do and measuring results. And it was a blast.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for giving back like you do. And everybody reach out to Kimberly Keane, and you could try it for 2 more years on your own, or just reach out to Kimberly Keane and get this figured out and get back on the road.
Thanks for having me, Dennis. It's always fun to talk
Yep.
about this topic. We love it.
Awesome. Take care. All right. If this episode hit a little close to home, that's a good thing. If your numbers don't make sense and you want help getting your accounts and financials dialed in, I strongly encourage you to reach out to Kimberly Keane. She's helped a lot of contractors get financially sound. And if you know you need help on the service side, getting your team confident selling the prices your company actually needs to be profitable, I'd love to help you with that. Check the link below in the comments and take the assessment. It'll help you figure out which part of your business needs the most work right now, and you'll get some direct insight from me, plus the opportunity to book a call and see how we can help. Let's make 2026 a year worth celebrating. And the way we do that is the same way Kimberly and I did, by getting help, learning faster, and becoming financially sound years sooner than we would have on our own. If you like conversations like this, like and subscribe and share this with a friend who's a contractor and struggling, because none of us should have to figure this out alone. The trades are the place to be. Now let's figure this out together.